Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhbl.com. And it is my pleasure to be chatting with Anders of, well, the eclectic mix of heavy metal, doom, goth rock, and now horror punk band Bloody Hammers, ahead of the brand new release Songs of Unspeakable Terror, which, as of the time of recording, is out tomorrow, the 15th of January, via Napalm Records. Anders, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me. How's your 2021 been so far this year?
Well, for me, it's been pretty busy with the Napalm has been keeping me pretty busy with making videos. You know, it's tough to make videos in a pandemic. I mean, everything's kind of on lockdown. So, but you know, we just do the best we can in our basement. We have a little green screen and we just make little low budget videos, and I mean, they get the job done, I guess. I mean, there are no, you know, when I look back at, like, God, I saw an old Aerosmith video, like from the 90s the other day. It was like, I can't remember what song, it's Fly Away From Here. One of these songs, it was just like this massive budget video. I was like, God, yeah. Times have changed so much since those days. There's massive music videos, like, they spent hundreds of thousands, and we're spending like hundreds. You know, we're not even hundreds. We're just spending nothing. We're just. So yeah.
You're forced to just use your imagination, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just put out a video today. We just released "Not of This Earth," and at the time when we did it, it was there's nobody available. You know, there's nobody really to help, right? But we tend to do everything ourselves anyway, usually. But yeah, it's weird times. But yeah, I've been staying busy pretty much, just promoting the record and doing videos and that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, how have you been coping overall in the new world we all live in, basically?
I think it's just important for me, who's somebody. I'm a little crazy anyway, so it's good for me to stay busy, and that's why I started this record anyway. Back in when everything started happening in March, April, when the shall we say, you know, the health problem. I don't know if we're going to try to put this video on YouTube or what, but I know you can't say certain words without them flagging it as. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
The health problem. Whenever that happened, we had just released The Summing, our last album, only 6 months before the virus happened, and I knew I needed to stay busy just for my own mental health. I needed to write and just, you know, keep my head down and do something and have some fun. And what got me thinking, you know, when it first came over here, it was hitting New York City really hard. It was it was really, really bad, and nobody knew what was going on. We didn't know if we were all going to die or what. And so, but yeah, it got me thinking. You know, I follow Marky Ramone on Instagram and Kimber Failer. You know, some of these people, like some of my old heroes, punk heroes from back in the day. And I could tell like a genuine, worry, you know, coming from some of these people, and it just got me, you know, it was sadness, but at the same time, I was thinking about some of my favorite bands from there, and I lived there in 2000, 2001, and I'm not from there, but I lived there long enough to just kind of get a kind of a taste of the city, and you know, anyway, it got me thinking about the Misfits and Ramones, and you know, Karen Black was really big back then. The Voluptuous Heart of Karen Black. I remember some good memories of going to see them live, and don't know if they really ever made it big outside of New York, but they were hot in New York back then. And I just started writing like some horror punk. It was just like some 70s kind of punk stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just inspired. I didn't care where it was going to go. I didn't care. Maybe it was going to be a side project. I wasn't thinking at the end game. I was just having fun, trying to keep myself occupied writing some songs. And I found that, you know, in the past we've been called gothic rock, or we've been called gothic metal, we've been called like doom metal. And I wasn't, you know, with so much real world doom going on, I didn't feel in the mood to write anything to me. I was, I was much more inspired to do the opposite. This kind of fun, fast, aggressive, melodic, and punk was that outlet for me. So that's where I started writing, but I really thought it was going to be a side project. Whenever I did finish it, but whenever I called Napalm and I just told them, hey, I got this side project. I'm going to put it on Bandcamp and just whatever.
Yeah.
They stopped me and they said, no. We think this is Bloody Hammer's album. We think it's not that different, really that much different. As much as they didn't think it was as different as I thought it was.
Okay.
So they released it. They wanted to release it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. So here we are. It's not a side project. It's Bloody Hammer's album. So
yeah,
we're happy.
Yeah. I think that's going to be, for those who have followed your career up to this point, while, as you say, it's different, but it's still obviously you guys. Yeah.
Like I said, whenever I'm so close to the songs, so it's hard. Sometimes I think that they're. Sometimes I think I write something that's like way out left field, but it's really not that left field. So that's, I don't know.
So you were basically taking advantage of the downtime, really, as best as you possibly could, right?
Yeah, just trying to stay busy because we were. It's strange. We live in a touristy area of North Carolina. It's like there's something like 100 waterfalls here. It's just like a really touristy kind of. We live in the mountains of the Blue Ridge Parkway and through the Appalachian. But anyway, it was so weird because when the lockdown happened, everybody and their brother came here.
Oh.
It was some sort of reverse psychology on people. Like, it's really not that busy here most of the time, but as soon as the virus happened, it's like everybody decided to put their tablets and their phones down and get out in nature. So
wow.
We're getting crowded with people, and it was a lot of hectic because people were coming from Florida, all over New York, everywhere, and kind of spreading the the problem down here. And so we just stayed at home. We stayed at home as much as possible. And, like if we needed groceries or anything, we just try to buy as much online as we could and just stay home. So I just needed to keep it busy, write songs. So, yeah, it was fun. I had a good time, because we had so much tension, we had the protests and the riots and the Trump bullshit. The Trump bullshit was just daily, every day. And I just tried to stay off the internet, and I mean, I wanted to stay at least kind of know if the world's ending, just kind of at least kind of begin once in a while. But for the most part, it's just toxic. It's toxic to stay at and to read too much of that stuff. So I just try to stay busy and write songs and do what I can.
You kind of have to create your own filters, right, when you're online now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It really is, and everybody's in their own little information bubble. It's like, depending on who you follow is where you get your news from, and you get these hot takes from people, and people get mad, or people get, it's a strange time. You can you can be swayed one way or the other depending on who you're following, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely understand. You're talking to a man in the UK who's had to listen to Brexit for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
We've got our own problems.
Oh yeah. So it's crazy, man. It's a crazy time, but I definitely feel like it's definitely toxic, man. If you get really wrapped up in that stuff, some people just, they have to have a take on every little thing that's happening, anything that's trending. They got to get out there as be the first one to have a take on it, and it's just, man, that's this guy. I just don't have I don't have the brain power for that. I would break down. I would be in the loony bin if I tried.
I'm glad you know your own limits there, and I think that's super, super important.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think this is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go on. If you had something to say, go for it.
No, I was just. I mean, if you listen to the album, you probably pick up on like sort of anthemic, kind of more fun, happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though the lyrics and stuff are dark, it's it's against the backdrop of fun, anthemic, old school punk. You know, and I really just it was organic. It was it was real. It's just what I was feeling. So that's I don't know, and I really don't think that. I don't think it's possible. If there's some artist out there who wants to try to write songs about 2020, I just think it's impossible to capture truly 2020. Like it was such a terrible time, terrible year. That is, So I didn't want to touch that. I didn't want to touch on any social issues. I just wanted to. I was going for escapism. I was going for escapism for myself, and I was hoping it would be escapism for someone else, like anybody else who wants to escape the torrent of hell that was going on in the news. Just, I really was pushing Napalm for it to be a Halloween release, and I was disappointed. Yeah, I was really disappointed that it wasn't. But they couldn't get vinyl and everything pressed, and I was even just telling them just put it out digital. I don't care. Whatever. I just want people to have something, because it sucks so bad. But they couldn't do it. So anyway, here we are, and better late than never, I guess.
Yeah, how you feeling about the fact that we're hours away from the release? Are you just excited, or are you kind of at that point where now are you going to be glad to see the back of the album and able to move on?
Yeah, it's probably offensive to women who actually have gone through labor and birth, but that's what it feels like. Me like because I've had the thing finished for so long. I finished it in God, I guess August, September, and like early September I got the master back. Oh, wow. So it's just waiting, and there's moments of joy and there's moments of torment, and you go through these things. You just want it out. Like, I guess a woman would want a baby out.
Yeah.
Just get it. But I'm not in pain, and I don't need an epidural. But, but yeah, it's nice. It drops tonight at midnight on all the streaming sites, and I'm just going to feel so good when it's done. It's gone.
I'm glad. So obviously, we were talked about it, horror punk album. This interest in horror, then, how much of that is in your core? Where does that love stem from?
I'm sorry, I got the police, or you have the police, somebody has the police.
I think it's me.
Okay. you put the question one more time. Before
being a horror punk album, the interest in the horror aspect of things, where does that love or interest come from? And how much of it is in your core?
Oh yeah, my horror influence. You mean in my music? Where does that come from, right?
Yeah,
and particularly this album of horror punk, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say, just fascination of horror movies. I mean, when I was just like 5 or whatever, I remember this show used to come on. It was like Elvira. It was like a kind of a local. Like a kind of a shitty Elvira, like a local horror host guy that would come on. It was called Shock Theater, and he would play all the Hammer horror movies, and I would hide and be like, I was like 5 years old or something, and just the sound of it was just it's crazy when I watch the movies now. I'm like, how was this terrifying to me back then? But I was 5, I didn't know. But that stuff, he would play like Hammer horror. He'd play like Paul Naschy stuff, the Spanish stuff, and just weird movies, gothic horror stuff. I mean, I was first scared of it, but I was fantasized by it. And then I remember Alice Cooper. I used to love the Muppet Show when I was like 5, 6 years old. And I remember Alice Cooper did an appearance on the Muppet Show.
I remember that,
yeah. And living in the South, Alice Cooper was like a Satanist, to our churches and my mom and everybody, like he's like a junkie Satanist guy. He was like, it's something it's forbidden to listen to Alice Cooper. So, but I remember, I was just watching the Muppet Show by myself, and Kermit the Frog comes on and said, "We have the most horrifying performer of all time tonight. It's Alice Cooper." And the curtains open. It's Alice, and he's in this like hammer horror, like gothic set, and he comes out of the coffin. And he does "Welcome to My Nightmare," and I was thinking, I was 5 or 6 years old, and I just thought, man, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
At some point. But later I found, like Metallica, they used to wear Misfits stuff all the time. And living in the South, like Cliff Burton had a Misfits tattoo, and Hetfield was wearing Misfits t-shirts, like the Master of Puppets or whatever. And then they did the cover of Last Caress on their Garage Days record. And I was like, I gotta find Misfits. And that's what, like, pre-internet, very hard to find Misfits in the South in North Carolina. So it took me a while, but when I got older and could drive, whatever. But I would go around to some of the college record stores, and I finally found a copy of Walk Among Us, the Misfits album, and just fell in love. Just fell in love with Misfits, and then I found Plasmatics, I found Dead Boys, I found Ramones, and all that stuff. So, but I always love the Misfits, the horror side. I love Dead Kennedys. I love a lot of the punk stuff that's political, but also like the Sex Pistols. Like I love Sex Pistols, but being an American, it seemed like it was really political, and I didn't really understand like British politics. So but I knew they were good songs. So I didn't care, what they were singing about. It was just good. And so yeah, that's where it comes from. But I really like the Misfits because they were, not political and just schlocky and fun. I don't know. It was just something drew me to that. And I've always been into horror rock, whether like Rocky Erickson or just Alice Cooper, obviously. And, so 45 Grave, like death rock stuff. I love that. Just I don't know. I've just always been drawn to the horror side of the Cramps, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just I don't know. I just like that. Like it sucked in the 90s when everybody kind of went. Everybody kind of looked like they were working in a gas station. It was really, the image, the fun image stuff went away, and it was uncool to do that. Yeah. Which Manson sort of brought that back a little bit, I guess. But for a while there, it was just really uncool to have an image or like do, like they did, the cool stuff. But I don't know. I was like Dio was fighting dragons on stage. Mm-hmm. I mean, how badass is that? Like, you can't really. I mean, Eddie Vedder's boring with his flannel T-shirt. I mean, Dio's fighting dragons. Come on,
It's a great comparative. So has that your early interest in horror continued to now, to your modern time? Do you watch a lot of horror movies? Do you read a lot of horror fiction? Or are you still kind of rooted in the early days of like Hammer and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I still check out new stuff. It's just not as fun as the old stuff.
Oh, fair enough.
For the most part, there's some gems here and there. But there's something about the old days. Maybe it's just because I'm just nostalgic about it. And I recognize a lot of the stuff I like is terrible. But it's something. It's shot on film. It looks amazing. It's just I don't know. There's something cool about the older stuff. But
style.
I like. Yeah, style and just the sleaziness of some of it and the classiness of some of it. It just kind of runs the game. It's all over the place, and it's like there's no. I don't know. It's just. It's probably just because I'm old and nostalgic, but yeah, I like the older stuff. But I do find new stuff I like a lot.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes.
So you kind of talk about the album as if it's, well, as you said, you described it as a side project originally before it became a Bloody Hammers album. So is this kind of like a one-off situation, and whatever you're planning for the future will be more in keeping what you've done in the past, or do you feel you'll be able to adapt and combine everything that Bloody Hammers is going forward?
Yeah, probably. I don't know though. Like, I don't plan. Like I said, I just go wherever the inspiration takes me. You know, I've been doing this particular project, Bloody Hammers, for a decade, and it's still kind of just nobody knows who the hell we are. It takes forever to break a band now. Like when I was like a teenager, when MTV was big and like Headbangers Ball and all that stuff, they could play a video from a band a couple weeks, and then that band was packing clubs, the next month. And they could break bands really fast, but now it just takes forever to break a band. You know, there's so much competition with the internet, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, it just takes a long time. So for people to find you, there's still people today. Just today, like when we released this video, people were saying, "Oh, this is the first time I heard this band." So. What was the original question? I think I got off track.
No, it's fine. I was going to add to the fact that, for all we know, your next, whatever you do next in Bloody Hammers, it could be a power metal album, if that's where your inspiration takes you. Absolutely.
Definitely power metal. No, but I love power metal. Like, I'm a music fan. When I was a kid, it would seem to be more separation of identity of what you were. Like, there was like the metal kids and the goth kids and punk kids, and I don't know if it's like that anymore. Like now, I don't have kids, so I'm not sure. But back when I was a teenager, people kind of, their identity was wrapped up in their music, and now it just seems like people are a little more genre fluid. But I was always like that. I never felt like I could commit to one genre. I just liked everything. I didn't care. I loved Halloween. I loved whatever, I loved all kinds of punk and metal and goth and just all that stuff. But I was never really a scene kid. I've always been a little bit of an introvert and not really into social groups like that. So I just like to explore it all. I don't care, whatever.
Wherever your imagination takes you.
Yeah.
So how have you found the reaction to the album so far? And is it something you kind of bother with? Like, do you find yourself trawling comments, reading stuff online if you get the time and stuff like that?
I really don't care. I really honestly, I do hope that people like it. And I honestly do. But when I'm writing this stuff, I'm just doing it for me. I'm doing it. I'm trying to do something I like, and because I feel like if you try to sit down and write songs that a bunch of people like, if you try to please, you can't please. It's just impossible. It's an impossible task. So it's best just to go with your inspiration and do what you want to do, and then hope people follow. And we're not the kind of band whose livelihood is depending on it, like say AC/DC or some band, like massive corporate band. Like, I love AC/DC. I'm not ragging on AC/DC. I'm just saying, what it's going to sound like from album to album. So, if I do something crazy, if I go off in some other genre for a minute, it's not going to kill me, from a financial standpoint, because there is no financial standpoint. It's just something I do, to get whatever, it's just something I have to do. It's just something that calls to me. So there's no risk. I'm not, there's no manager. I don't have a manager. There's no manager like going, oh, you gotta say the chorus and do this and that. I grew up with Alice. I remember buying The Game by Queen a long time ago, and like the first song was like the Game was like this kind of ballad song. The second song was like Another one, Bites at Dust, which the first time I heard that on the radio, I thought it was Earth, Wind and Fire or some like some black band or what, like Commodores or something. I thought it was. I didn't know it was Queen. And then the next song was Crazy Little called Love, which is like a Stray Cats, like rockabilly. So I love that surprise, that versatility, and Bowie did it. And that's just, I don't know. There's some bands you know exactly what's going to happen when you get their record, and then I tend to like the bands that throw curves and do weird things. And Alice was definitely like, if you go through Alice's catalog, 70s, I think it's this. He went through some his new wave phase. He went through his try to be punk phase. And, I don't know. It's like show tunes, and it's just weird. I love the weirdness of that.
There are very few bands that can stick to, as you say, one particular type and make a successful career out of it. I guess the likes of Slayer and stuff are the only ones that really come to mind.
What the stay? I mean, like Motorhead. What's going to happen when you listen to Motorhead? Dio didn't go too far from. I mean, there's a lot. I think that. There's a lot of bands that kind of stick with what they do and don't. But I always love it when bands go and do something different, like some weird track. But that's just me. But I love all these bands anyway. I mean, Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath did some weird stuff later on in their career.
Oh yeah, especially the different vocalists.
Some of that stuff like That's All Right for the Bill Ward saying sound like a John Lennon song. It was like, that's odd for Sabbath. But yeah. So I don't know that I'm that extreme, but I do like to experiment and do different things,
That's cool. And I mean, this is hard to answer really, because obviously the state of the world, but is there hope or interest that you'll be able to play these songs in a live environment at some point in the future?
Man, I hope so. I talked to my booking agent, who's actually based in the UK, actually, and he was saying that like a month ago or something, he was trying to say, see if we could do something in late 2021. But now, since the second lockdown, I think you're in a lockdown now.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah, now it's like mid 22. Like it's going to be weird because there's going to be every band in the planet going to want to go out when everything's open. Everything opens up, but there's less venues to play because a lot of venues are closed, and it's just going to be a mess. So I don't know. We're just playing it by ear and see what can happen.
That's in it. Wait and see what will happen.
Yeah.
So finally, last question for you then. A nice easy one to put you on the spot with. What is your favourite horror movie?
I would have to say An American Werewolf in London.
Oh, I did not expect... Oh, hello? You there?
Did I lose you?
Briefly, we cut out.
Oh, okay, yeah. American Werewolf in London, that's like the first movie that I just loved. It just had that balance of comedy and horror, and just the special effects were awesome for its day. And I would go with that one.
Amazing choice. Coincidentally British as well.
Yeah.
And
like that one? You like it?
Oh, love it. Absolutely. It's funny enough, I didn't see it until like 10 years ago, and I thought, it might be out of date, kind of like dated, but no, it's a movie that holds up, and I adore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
less said about the sequel though.
I know. Yeah, the sequel was terrible, and they're supposed to the people who make The Walking Dead are supposed to be doing a remake of it, and I'm just thinking, I don't think you just can't capture that. It's perfect. It's a perfect movie, and I don't know. I'm not one of those people who I don't shit on remakes, but I do think that it's not possible to create that. It's just perfect. Everything was perfect.
100% agree. Anders, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations with your website.
Thank you. Best of luck with the release. I'm sure it's going to go brilliantly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll talk again.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?